Bum bum. This is Wake Movement. I am your host. This is Wake Movement. I am your host. Here to bring us through some topics for the day. Trump meets with Yi, Fuentes, and Milo, which is headlining. We also have Jordan Peterson reveals his new topic of a presentation that has flooded my Facebook and Instagram message boards, which I espouse nothing but distaste for Jordan Peterson, but somehow they've pumped a lot of money into him to get him overwhelmingly flooded over my streams. As in, Jesus. Technological storm, but we'll get through it. We also have what's trending in the Twitter newsfeed is Jesus. Yeah, so, and then he visited and so, really, what I do is pretty much just go through Adam's feed and show it, so I give all the credit to Adam for much of it. But some of it I did I was, in my last stream, I was talking about Milo, who I didn't know was Milo because I couldn't recognize him. All up in a suit and without bleached blonde tips. Jesus really made him gay only for God now. What else do we have? We just have also concubines in the Orthodox community of New York. That's a topic. And we have one more topic that we're going to discuss. And we'll come to it. It's a surprise topic. I can't even mention it. It's so forbidden. So thank you for being here. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I hope. Starting it off, my friends, we'll go to my dude, Adam Green. Be always dropping that fire. No more news. There's Milo behind him. Manager now? His publicity manager? An ex-gay person. I don't know if that's even possible. Like I said earlier. And then from the tribe of Judea. Then we have, which brings me to this tweet before we even get Nick Fuentes leading this whole movement, and then who is Hispanic, leading the white nationalist Nazi movement. Nazi is trending right now. You know, you can't see it, but now you can. Yeah, it was Ramsey Paul who tweeted, "Look what's trending right now. Nazis, Israelis." This picture right here is so foretelling. Here's Kanye looking like a crazy man. Here's Trump looking at him smirking like he's crazy. Here's Jared Kushner eating up and loving it. And there's Ivanka in the back. Ivanka, I will save you. From Jared Kushner. See, this is a little bit of old news, but we'll still report on it. Kanye Yi reveals Trump screamed at him in bombshell campaign video. And so, white nationalist Nick Fuentes, who is not white. And then white nationalist Milo, who is Jewish, not white. And then Kanye West, who is black, not white, are the head of the white nationalist movement. That is enough to drive a man Insane. Holy shoot. So, Rand Paul had a good quote on this. God, I just suck at getting the right dimensions. And so this wasn't from that meeting because look at smirking ass. God. Turns out I wasn't the only one to talk about Milo's face. Look at Jared Kushner right there. And look at Ivanka. Look at that face, dog. Oh my gosh. That is so nefarious. And then look at Kanye. Is he looking settled? And then look at Trump. Is he looking like he's taking any of this seriously? The fact that they used that picture hurts my very soul. And so Ramsey Paul tweets. I'm sorry. Looks like Kanye will be running for president. Milo is reportedly his campaign manager. And Fuentes is in charge of communications. The white Christian, more like clown frickin' world. Daily Beast reports that Kanye disses Trump, unleashes bombshell 2024 campaign videos. In a bizarre move, Ye dished on topics, or Ye, from ex-wife Kim Kardashian to white nationalist Nick Fuentes. Oh, that is, we're going to talk about the Jewish Queen of Rome and the origins of the replacement theory, Berenice. The earliest example is not, but this of the fear that Jews might overturn and replace the social order with their own people. Probably, that's BS. Jordan Peterson shilling for the Old Testament like you've never seen before. We're going to talk about that. Sam Tripoli and what he had. And then that will bring us forward from the Thanksgiving with the Goyim video stream. Why does he speak so loud? And why do I have that in the middle of my screen? Oh, that's horrible. Sorry, hang in there. Okay.
Does Magneto, the only Jewish character in any superhero movie. Jewish character in any superhero movie. Jewish character
Stop.
in any
So, I didn't say that. They said it. Was Joe Rogan, Jesuits, the black nobility, the Knights of Malta, the Bafangul, according to Albert. But here, he might have said something that we could actually get behind. Unless he does what I say that I hope he doesn't do. I need an editor. Is it? It is completely manufactured by investment firms. It is. Let's go back. La 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 la. He's pushing his. What do you think of the culture war? I believe that's what he's responding to. Sam Tripoli. It is completely. If you look at BlackRock, my father worked on Wall Street, and this is back in the 80s, early 90s. Even then, BlackRock was known to be a monopoly-held investment firm by our people in question for this moment. And Vanguard, we are in a silent Bolshevik revolution. Who was behind the Bolshevik revolution that killed a bunch of not even religious people from this persuasion. We are in a silent Bolshevik revolution right now. We are fighting with a resounding 3 hearts. So, all right, Sam, I can get behind this as long as you're not saying that it's the Khazarian Mafia or the Jesuits at the source, because we all know that is just front running. For, according to Jordan Peterson, the people who wrote our history. And not like that's a bad thing, like that's just something we should accept. Listen to this, my guys.
So the Hebrews created history as we know it. So the Hebrews created history as we know it.
Pull that up one more time, Selecta.
So the Hebrews created history.
They started off this whole Jordan Peterson thing where he got taken over by the Daily Wire, run by Ben Shapiro as their front man, and funded by Dennis Prager, who is a leader in this, getting Christians to support Israel. The first sentence in this trailer is, so the Hebrews created history as we know it. And then after hiring on Jordan Peterson, the first thing he does is do a message to Islam, to Muslims, and a message to Christians. And what's his message to Israel, to Judaism? He goes to Israel with Shapiro. He meets with Benjamin Netanyahu even. And then this is the first thing that they come out with, pretty much.
And violate your conscience without cause. You will pay the piper. It's going to call you out of that slavery.
And Russell Brand, who does do some good exposing, he highlights this as like Jordan Peterson is somebody who's really exposing the truth. Come on, Russell Brand, you can't be that dumb, naive. He's not.
Into freedom, even if that pulls you into the desert.
All fictional shit that never happened.
Created history as we know it.
You don't get away with anything. And so you might think you can bend the fabric of reality and that you can treat people instrumentally and that you can bow to the tyrant and violate your conscience without cause.
They're making the tyrant like, oh, who's like the Pharaoh. Is the Pharaoh in charge of our banks right now? Is the Pharaoh in charge of freedom of speech for us right now? No. Here's, in that same line of thought, it's your boy.
Work with Google on using AI to try to interrupt cyber hate before it happens.
Shout out to Paper Jesus, always posting flock of flame.
Work with Google on using AI to try to interrupt cyber hate before it happens. We work with YouTube to get them to change their algorithms so it lessens the likelihood that a young person's going to run into some of these anti-Semitic conspiratorial videos. We work with Facebook on trying to use a redirect method so when you search for Holocaust as a hoax, you get directed to like a Yad Vashem page. So not only protect the user's right to free speech, but protect the user's right to not be harassed or hated.
The level of misdirection and pill pull here and inversion is so sad that let's rewind and come again. Here is the person who is attacking our freedom of speech to protect who? Anybody from being defamed? It was Elon Musk who made a tweet saying, hey, stop defaming me about ADL. That's hilarious. P.S. The guy Ari Gold, I believe is his last name, one of the top Hollywood guys, who's that HBO series was built around of him being a womanizing, hotshot, up and coming I can't believe I forgot. You know, I don't give a shit that I forgot the name of that. I don't care. Turtle was in it. Where's my chat at? Chat, come and help your boy. It doesn't matter. Just listen to this. Somebody who is totally attacking our freedom of speech, trying to make it seem like he's
Work with YouTube to get them to change.
Preemptive banning of your speech. That's like arresting somebody for a crime before they even did it, which is what this equates to.
To try to interrupt cyber hate before it happens. We work with YouTube to get them to change their algorithms, so it lessens the likelihood that a young person is going to run into some of these anti-Semitic conspiratorial videos. We work with Facebook on trying to use a redirect method, so when you search for Holocaust as a hoax, you get directed to like...
Shadow banning is just paranoid, delusional stuff, right? A total marriage between the ADL. What other group has such power and sway over our freedom of speech? I can't think of it.
Like a Yad Vashem page. So there are different ways they can tweak.
Academic, historical, objective source on it. Not Yad Vashem, the fuck.
Different ways speech, but protect a user's right to not be harassed or hated. Work with...
As I'm looking for truth, I'm not worried about being harassed or hated. I'm looking for what fucking really happened. God damn it. We're being just screwed at every point. So now let's go over to Adam. He said that, I think he said he's going to go probably live tomorrow to talk about this. So this will just be a wedding. We're going to wet the... Where's Adam at? So he'll go over this more, I'm sure, tomorrow. Or the next day. Well, here's what Trump... So Trump had to do some cleanup because now Nazi is trending and Donald Trump is meeting with Nazis. It's this whole very similar thing they did with Germany. They set up people to do their bidding. We need to remind ourselves as a defense mechanism that they use to be offensive. To protect them, to take a victim place, to Trump trying to backtrack on this as it takes to the mainstream media. Donald J. Trump. So I help a seriously troubled man who just happens to be black. Ye, Kanye West. Thank you. Who has been decimated in his business and virtually everything else, who has always been good to me by allowing his request for a meeting at Mar-a-Lago alone so that I can give him very much needed, quote, advice. He shows up with 3 people. I guess he would. 2 of which I didn't know. The other, a political person who I haven't seen in years. I wonder who that is. It's not Milo. Or is it? Or is it Fuentes? Then who's the third person? I don't know. I told him, don't run for office. A total waste of time. Can't win. Fake news went crazy. And then Yi visits a Messianic Jewish congregation. And then he's got the part 1. P.S. Tomorrow or the next day or whenever, I'm sure Adam will go through a much more extensive view of this. But this is a sneak preview.
There's elements that I talked to the pastor. He came to me. He said, "Yo, it seems like there's people who think you don't like Jewish people, and I just want to tell you that Jesus loves you." And I said, "I know." And I said, "I have problems with certain business practices. And he said, well, it's okay. And I said, it's not okay. It's not okay. This is the whole thing. It's like we've now seen everything that happens if you speak up on these contracts and you speak up on all of the dealings that have been done and you point this stuff out. It's like they tried to destroy me. And Jesus is the way and the life and the King of Israel.
He is so caught up in this matrix. If it wasn't for his Black Hebrew Israelite backage, the same thing that backs Kyrie Irving's ideology, then they would have such a clearer view on this. But because of their allegiance, because of their environment to worship Jesus, a Jewish person, they just can't, I guess, unravel this.
We love all people. I'm known to be one of the most forgiving people. We've seen me forgive people. I can't, it's like...
No one's done more for the Jewish people than Donald Trump or the Christians than Jesus.
I can't hate anyone. We saw Adidas freeze my accounts. We saw me get debanked. And you think, if that can happen to someone like me,
This is actually a good point he raises right here. Listen to this. If they could...
What's happening to all of America? What's happening to all the world? If you have an opinion, even if you speak up, there's so many people that they work in a regular job and they know if they say anything to their manager, then they'll lose their position, they'll lose their job.
Right.
They try to destroy me in press.
That dude, that French guy, Guillaume, that Adam had on recently, lost his job as a teacher in France, I think, teaching English. It's like foreign exchange students or something. I'm not sure the details. Lost his job because people would Google his name to see about their teacher, about their professor, and stuff about him being critical of Israel came up, and so they fired him.
They tried to destroy all of my...
So buy his books. Shit.
Businesses at the same time, and the world saw it, and no one's saying anything. As far as like none of the celebrities, so this just shows you all.
Or if they do, we got ADL twerking the algorithm lockstep with Zuckerberg and Facebook and YouTube. It's no secret. That's not a conspiracy.
Celebrities are controlled. You don't see no celebrity.
You would say that. You'd be like, hey, I think that there's a unhealthy alliance between this group and our social and big tech. Yeah, so Ari Gold, the guy of that HBO special that was very popular, his name I still can't remember and I don't give a shit, was on a yacht getting hosed down. Elon Musk was by Ari, right, just like 3 weeks ago.
Celebrities talking about the Balenciaga situation.
Balenciaga, who's putting up pictures of children holding up animals in bondage with handcuffs and sick artist books in their photo shoots and then had to take it down. Kanye's got out of that right before that happened. That's a little fortuitous, and I don't know what to think about that.
Right, so that just shows you all of these celebrities.
Part 1. Thank you, Adam, for posting.
I talked to the pastor, and he came to me and said, yo, it seems like...
Yeah, he's here to go to the church. Can you help him out? He's looking for the church. Can you please help him?
Who is he?
rock have you been living under, Rochelle? That's a good name. Instead of like Karen, we should have like, what are you doing, Rochelle?
Why are you guys here anyway?
It's him, man.
Why are you guys here anyways? Not a mitzvah.
He wants to go to the church.
Oh, he wants to go to the temple.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he does.
It's a Jewish congregation?
An Asian dude up in the mix? Not expecting to see that. Dog, that's our favorite group of
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you accepted Yeshua, Jesus, as your personal savior?
The congregation?
That's convincing. There's Milo. Milo is looking so straight. Have you seen those faces that he made in my last post? Somebody else pointed that out. Dude is, I think, on meth. Or like just straight up cocaine. Woo! Crazy stuff going on, my friends. Crazy. So, I mean, what do you think? Adam put up an interesting post. Like, who does this help more? Is it helping? Trump, or is it helping Biden? It's gonna take votes away from Trump, right? Christ Cook pastors always laying down that heat. Epstein and Maxwell being personally blessed by the Pope. The Rothschild banking system has had an interesting relationship with the Church of Rome, namely the Catholic Church. And we will make this so that it is smaller. Look at little Liam. It's off in the cut. And here we are, my friends. Berenice. Rome. What? I thought the whole Vespasian Titus thing was the Romans trying to come up and concoct this whole thing. How fear that a broader anti-Shemitism. Get comfortable. We're going to do a little bit of reading. Do you smoke cigarettes? Do you have a bowl? Do you have a drink? Do you have tea, coffee? Do you want to meditate? Get comfortable. Because even though this is from Tablet Magazine, this guy is a little bit, he's repeating what he's been taught. And he's been taught stuff that he's revealing right here that isn't taught to the normal person. The earliest example of the fear that Jews might overturn and replace the social order with their own people, probably whenever as shit. And we know that this isn't true. Probably occurred in Rome. No. Well, Joseph, who infiltrated, or Moses, who infiltrated Egypt. Joseph, who infiltrated Egypt. And those would be earlier occurrences of a Hebraic-speaking people's overtaking of their host nation. The Hyksos, Alexander, King Cyrus, and the Persians, all earlier examples of stuff similar to this. But here they're just saying probably the earliest occurrence of this was in Rome during the 1st century CE, just around the time of Jesus. Coincidental? I think not. that threatened Roman dominion over the Mediterranean world. The Flavian family line was in danger. Roman Emperor Vespasian's son Titus had defeated the Judean rebellion. I believe this was the Roman son Titus defeated the Judean rebellion. This was backed by the Hellenic Egypt. They sent him in to raise the temple because obviously there was a Judean temple. They were probably beefing with Agrippa, or they had some type of understanding. Up for debate, was there ever really a first temple? Definitely wasn't at the height of like the richest of all. Berenice, the sister of Agrippa II, the former king of conquered Judea. Oh yeah, so they were still buddies, so they were in cahoots. Not foreign to the human imagination or our historical record. False flags. Brother had opposed the Jewish revolt from the beginning because there were infighting. There were Hellenized elites. Not knowing that they would be willingly sacrificed for the cause. It reminds me of Jack Rubenstein, the person who killed, supposedly, JFK. He said, I did it for my people. Who's his people? The Rubensteins. They're Stein too, but this is from the tablet, whatever. In 70 CE, the Roman Emperor Vespasian's son defeated the rebellion. Her brother had opposed the Jewish revolt from the beginning. Along with the spoils of the temple, Titus brought Berenice back to Rome, where, according to Cassius Dio, she lived with him as if she were his empress, exerting considerable power. Some Romans were troubled by the romance of Titus and Berenice and spoke out against her. In her prior marriage to the king of Pontus, Berenice had required that he convert to Judaism, and Berenice's children would be Jewish, ensuring that the future emperors would be Jewish, as the popes would be. In other words, the Roman emperor would be in Jewish hands. The people being hip to it. Emperor Claudius, who preceded Titus by less than 20 years, had a visiting dignitary, Istorus of Alexandria, executed for accusing our patron saint. A few years later, Nero, who ruled Rome until 68 CE, formative times in Christianity, just 2 years before the affiliation with Jews. His wife was a, quote, God-fearer, Yahweh-fearer. That is a person who engaged in Jewish entanglement and the accusations that came with it. I can't believe they're admitting this. Titus understood that Berenice's potential ascendant to imperial power was a threat, real or imagined, to the future of the nascent Flavian dynasty, which, like all dynasties, the story of Jewish replacement boiled down to one person, a woman. Wave the rainbow flags. Who could by herself effect the replacement of Flavian to a Jewish empire was a fear that did not die. Well, first of all, you're telling us that it was very likely that it could happen, but that people are crazy and conspiratorial for thinking such things. Even the actual transformation of the Roman Empire through establishment of Christianity as the state religion, a faith that incorporated the Jewish Bible and replaced traditional Roman gods because they replaced the freaking traditional Roman gods with a Jew. Later emperors were accused of being Jewish when they took the side. 88 synagogues were burned in both Rome and Callinicum in Mesopotamia. The Western Emperor Maximus, much reason to suspect of such things. When the Mesopotamian synagogue was also ordered reconstructed, Ambrose, the bishop of Milan, thought it was wise to step in. He wrote a letter to the Eastern Emperor Theodosius. Blah, 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 shuka. This carried on in popes and plays. The rabbi's death is not unique in Belly's work. The Jewish popes. The first pope was Jewish, Peter. The transformation of the Pope into a Jew was an idea that Belly came back to again and again in 1832 after the Napoleonic Wars, when the Congress of Vienna restored sovereignty to the Papal States, Meyer Rothschild of the new noted Jewish banking family in Sonnet 622 dealings, but that Rome itself was Jewish as well. Moreover, in Er Cholera Moribus, Belly declares that, given the Jewish bailout of the Vatican, all of Rome is being turned into a ghetto. Of course, the Pope had not become a Jew, nor was Napoleon Jewish. But nonetheless, even a thoroughly non-Jewish quid pro quo, who benefits? It brought to surface the fear that further became a Judaic stronghold. They did this in satire, much like David Chappelle. There's some other popular works and plays that were done, dramas, highlighting this. So now he's trying to bring it to, in the 21st century, replacement theory deals with the fact that Jews are a minority in a different way. Instead of warning against individual Jews who are surreptitiously replacing non-Jews with the intention of it's logical, but now to think that something could be happening today is fantastical. Jewish groups like the Hebrew Immigrants Aid Society, I think majorly run by, I don't want to say George Soros because I hate saying that name, but I think so. They want immigrants to flood into America, but how are they about immigrants coming into Israel? It's a totally different fucking story. An immigrant invasion in order to take control of the levers of political power away from white people. That fantasy, this is such an objective article. That fantasy, nevertheless, is not a fucking fantasy. It is a response to the same fear underlying the older fantasies is supposedly comfortable and well known to the knowledge gap between those who are fashioning the future, the Jews, and those who conceive of themselves as victims only heightens the anxieties of, oh, stop talking about this because you're just making the Jewish people more filled with anxiety. And we already know that they're already so anxious, these people. First is what this whole article is fucking calling for. Holy shit. That's fucking horrible. What do you think about this all? Yeah, Fuentes is a beige. Fuentes, is that a real American name? Levi says, hug it out, my fellow Abrahamists. Yeah. We have Kanye West as the person who's going to free us. Are the Inuit dominating back? Yeah. Founded. Well, let me look about every other foreign person. Are the Eskimo people or the Indians, the three biggest populations? Going into meltdown state. Finish this off with the Concubine connection. This one is pretty interesting, my friends. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. The few, but the faithful. A well-respected source. Run by it. Solomon did it. But should respectable married men in the 1990s do it? This was written in 1996. I'm dipping back a little bit into the archive. But should respectable married men, respectable, that's subjective, An organization that encourages Orthodox Jews to take concubines is causing outrage into Scorpio season, by the way. I know, we don't talk astrology here. Register for free to continue reading. Oh, they let me read it. Who says it's respectable? A man and a woman bump into each other accidentally. This guy is so dramatic who wrote this. This is a typical scene. This is Williamsburg, only a few miles away from vulgarity and permissiveness of Manhattan. Of Jewish Orthodox people were pushing for a way to be accepted by taking on concubines in addition to their wife, and using the Bible as a way to make it kosher, and it was. All right, my friends, this was long enough. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more. I mean, what are your thoughts on Kanye and money out of this? That they're like, okay, well, we've already made billions of dollars out of our dad being presidency, so we're gonna step it up. Paul, I'm getting fucking depressed. I don't want to end this on a depressing note, so I do want to say that we are. They gave me the disruptor. 4 is the disruptor, the tail of the dragon. I'll take that on. 70411 subscribers. Need more subscribers. I think I'm getting better at these things as I go through. I know I'm not as organized as others who did this, but I'm trying my best. And my equipment and my keep the good fight. Ah, Levi, there you are, brother. Okay, thank you. I just said, as long as I got one, that's not bad. Lucky number 13.